How do we know we're judging? What are ways that you've noticed or it shows up for you?
Changes the way you feel. Start focusing on singularities instead of the whole picture.
I'd say it
Well,
drops the charge.
trumps a charge,
Drops.
drops.
When we don't.
Drops the charge and we don't judge.
Mm. Maybe more specifically, drops a negative charge.
Get way more wound up when you're judging.
Mm.
It's like giving away your control or the illusion of control because nothing is ours to control at all.
Mm.
For me, it's focusing on the differences,
Mm.
the separations.
Mm.
I can see it as hierarchies, right? I'm either above or below.
Mm.
And as you're doing it, you actually realize you're judging yourself, comparing yourself to them.
Yeah. Man, we don't look at it as ourselves. We look at it to them, our best to their worst.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it is that in judging, then we are not equal when we're judging.
We're losing half the possibilities.
Yep.
And then we don't even see our true own image.
And we escape whatever responsibilities around it
Mm-hmm.
because the judgment is for us to look into. But when we judge it out there as somebody else's problem or thing to fix, and we're not, there's nothing for us to do.
No, except we're giving away our power.
Yep. And along the same lines, we have so there's the judger, we have the blamer.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't blaming a judgment also?
I believe so.
Mm.
Like lots of colors of blue, different nuances.
Mhm.
Always pointing those fingers.
Another one I've experienced is the prover. Blame and prover are similar to judgments, just in different ways.
Justifications.
Yeah. Where the blamer is usually blaming it out there, is whatever's out there is the victim, and the prover, um, it's more of an in here, proving in here, but it's giving the power to others to judge, validate. To prove what is already there. Because I think deep down it's just because we want to belong, we want to be heard, we want to be included.
Yeah, the underlying cause is usually fear.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Love this story, Heinz, where you were at the family's house and you made or you gave space for the child to feel like they belonged, that you listened, that you could understand. Can you imagine a world where we're living in where people just don't understand us? And what freedom, what breath, what space that you could have provided.
Felt like he enjoyed it too.
Mm-hmm. It made a
Once
huge difference to
being
me.
seen and being heard, not just listened to, actually being heard.
Mm-hmm.
And like the mom told me, well, they use autism as a bad word. Well, it just tells you that you're different from the others. It doesn't have a charge unless you put it to it.
or label you put to it, which is the label becomes the judgment. And well, so does the charge because of what we believe around that label.
It's the same like telling somebody, wow, you're really fast. Well, not compared to that guy. Fast is a point of view.
Relative.
Yeah. You might say a plane is fast, but compared to a rocket, it's actually slow.
Slow compared to the speed of light.
Yeah. And it ain't even moving.
Even comparing is a version of judgment.
Yep. So this week I actually used a lot of rephrasing whatever I was about to say.
Mm.
Finding the neutral language.
It's a nice feeling when you observe yourself doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
The more you do it, the more natural it just comes. It's sort of like jumping in the river and swimming against river, but as soon as you go with the flow, you actually just feel the flow and become one with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said to someone down there, everybody wants things to stay the same. Well, that's actually fighting nature itself because the time is always moving, the sun is always moving, the stars are always moving. How can you expect anything to stay the same? Life is based on motion.
Yeah, it's just a fear in the background.
Yeah.
A fear, a scarcity fear.
Mm. And the irony is then we just create the scarcity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which then that fear we lose whatever it is we were not wanting to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the change, the not changing will break. That dam breaks.
Like the matrix is already inside your head. The programs is what you put in it.
Mm.
If you choose to believe what they're saying, or if you choose to experience it for yourself, then you break out of the matrix because you want your own experience of what life really is.
And when you can allow yourself and allow everyone to have their view of the world, and there is no judgment.
And that's the truth, and the truth will set you free.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere we say no is a judgment. Mostly it's a I know better than you judgment. They're not always the case, not absolute. There's many times it is appropriate to say no. But like you said, Heinz, I found myself changing my response.
Mm.
Feeling more into it instead of just listening to the ego come up with whatever it wants to say.
You were looking deeper for a second and third answer, not just the first one.
I often find myself telling, this is not a way of the only way of doing it. It's just my way of seeing it.
Yeah.
So I just open for possibilities, and I have one or two possibilities then to suggest, but I don't tell them that that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because nobody likes to be told what to do.
And there are many that like to tell people what to do.
Yep, because they are always right,
Oh, yes.
especially if you ask them.
Mhm.
Well, they're half right about it. They're always right when it comes to them.
Yeah, and they're the one that suffer the most.
Yep.
Because they have to pretend someone that they're not.
And God help somebody proves them wrong, the whole world will fall apart. What changed? Nothing. It's just you got a new point of view. But they take it so personally. I failed, I've heard wrong, I've people who often blame other people often have a big guilt within themselves.
Mm. Carrying a load of burdens.
When you look at the past, you're looking from a present perspective, which means you have way more experience at the moment that you're looking at. You did what you thought was best at the moment. Maybe have been wrong, maybe not totally right, but you did what you felt was best, or your ego thought it was best. Of course, if anybody could change that way, well, everybody would win the lottery each and every day.
Mhm.
Life is guesswork on what we know.
Only after going through it, we find out how much we did know or do know.
Exactly.
And that's not the name of the game to prove how much we know. It's to know. It's to experience it.
Like my father always said, life is a funny thing. You have to live it from front to back, but it can only be understood from the back to the front.
Your dad had some wonderful quips.
Yeah, but try telling all that stuff to a 10, 12-year-old kid. It only makes sense when you get a little higher in the age and you experienced life.
Absolutely.
Like you said, well, you think there's such a far, far ahead in when you're living, but as soon as you get to be my age, you always said, well, you look at 12 years ago like yesterday.
Mm.
It gets shorter and shorter looking backwards.
Mm.
But I think that's why he told me all those things. He probably needs it later in his life. He was just preparing.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, we can give our children that foundation, or we can give them the swearing, bad habits, the don't do what we do judgments. It's like our, we were speaking with our neighbor, and she was upset with her 12-year-old son. He got caught vaping at school.
Hmm.
The whole family and everyone that comes over are all smokers. I mean, it's like,
Oh.
it's like, well, and she's saying, oh, he has asthma, he has this, like has all sorts of respiratory problems. And it's like, but he sees that that's the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell him all you want.
Well, if you have all those breathing problems, shouldn't they be leading by example?
Exactly. Yep.
Maybe he got those breathing problems because of his environment.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh, it's so easy to blame, eh?
Isn't it
Yep.
though? Not look at ourselves.
Yeah.
Take
Or
no
looking at an
responsibility.
environment, yeah.
And in one way, I've actually just blamed also, but more in a neutral blame. Like, I don't point fingers at any one of them. I point fingers at all of them. And it's just, if they want to do better, if they want him to do better, maybe they should show him how, not tell him how.
Amen. Right. It's easier to look into it and see it than it is to see it in the middle of it.
It's because they're covered in smoke.
Yeah, there's too much dirt in their windshield, so they can't see clearly.
Mhm.
Going out in the middle of the night looking for the sun.
Can't see that? Come on. No, you gotta open your third eye. I told you, Heinz. You know, when one doesn't work, you open the other.
It is open. I think it's gone blind. At looking
Must be
into
another one somewhere else.
the pineal gland.
I need to go for this morning. Thank you so much. And apologies. I had especially put my mic off when I heard my husband come in, but it obviously didn't work. Because then when I went to unmute it, I was muting myself. So
Oh,
Well,
oh
you're
good.
supposed to
We
do that
met
one
your
o'clock.
husband.
you did
Yep.
in service. Thank you so much, Jess.
You have a
Bye.
pleasant
Thank
day.
you, Allison.
Have a good day.
I've got to go too, guys. My headset's going to run out of juice.
Well, you all have
Don't
a
worry.
pleasant day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yours
Yeah,
too.
have a good
Great to
one,
be
guys.
with you. Thanks.
Great to be here again.
Welcome
Bye-bye,
back.
guys.
Bye, Chi.